Welcome, all you ghouls and gals, to episode 8 of FYC Film Review. Yes, this is the Halloween episode. We're going to haunt your dreams with this audio recording and YouTube video. Thanks for joining us. I am your host, Gagne, and with me, as always, is Null Dog.
What's up, guys? What's going on, buddy? What's going on?
We're going on with nicknames now, so, threw it out there.
Cool.
Not much, just getting ready for Halloween, trying to avoid the Halloween candy as long as possible. I'm going to go as Thanos for Halloween. So, I got to buy myself an Infinity Gauntlet, so that was cool. Yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm going to go as Joe Exotic.
Beautiful.
And my wife is going to go as Karen Baskin or Carol Baskin. So
I feel like that's appropriate. I just kind of was thinking the cats and kittens when I was doing our intro, but ghouls and goblins, ghouls and gals, whatever,
Why not? It's been a crazy year. Why not?
It has. I feel like I'm not usually the type of person who likes to dress up for Halloween, but you know what? This year it just seems kind of crazy, and at least it gets me out of my pajamas. So
absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic.
Cool. So this week we usually narrow it down to 2, and we did narrow it down to 2 again. I'm gonna hold my tongue for a little bit, but I'm kind of wishing we would have chose Poltergeist. We didn't. We chose. What did we choose?
We chose the classic 1984 Wes Craven A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Not that remake crap.
No, however, I will get into remakes later and talk a little bit about them. But this was the 1984 horror, Nightmare on Elm Street, directed by Wes Craven, with a runtime of 92 minutes. 92 minutes, which is like amazing to us.
Love that.
Under 2 hours, anything's great. And this one, 90 minutes, it's perfect. Unfortunately, the movie is not perfect.
That is unfortunate. I want to say maybe this was probably my first foray into horror. I think it was one of those that maybe my parents felt it was campy enough to allow your kid to see. It was so suspended in disbelief that you just didn't really need, I guess you could show it to your kids, at a younger age. And so I feel like, no, but yes, I guess they are rated R. Were they rated R then?
Yeah, this one was rated R.
Okay, so maybe not.
Spaceballs was rated PG. This was rated R. So.
Yeah, maybe not the most appropriate, but I feel like there wasn't really a lot to it other than the gore. And I think that's what kind of gets where the R gets in. I don't really remember there being much else other than some bad words by one character. He's like the only guy who says curse words in the movie.
Rod.
But Rod, thank you.
Rod.
Leather jacket and cool earring.
Yeah.
But let's get into it. I actually was Freddy Kreuger one year. So
me too. That's great. Yeah.
Did you get a mask or did you have to do the really crappy homemade makeup?
No, I got a mask, but it was like a Kmart mask when Kmart existed. And I got the glove, and I would take the glove everywhere with me because I thought the glove was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. And I brought it to school one day, and it was all my friends wanted to see it. So like yourself, I was Freddy Kreuger too. It's an iconic character.
Absolutely. 100% agree. It definitely is an iconic character. It spawned 7, 8 sequels. If we count Freddy versus Jason. And it's one of those, like, you say the name Freddy Kreuger and people know who you're talking about. And I did enjoy playing him for Halloween, and I was the same way with the glove. Didn't get the mask. Had horrible horror stories of Vaseline up my nose, trying to keep like fake scars on. It was ugly, but I guess that was the point for Freddy Kreuger, so it worked. This launched the career for Mr. Johnny Depp, which. I have to say, I understand why he got more jobs after, because he's the one actor who doesn't seem like he's doing a horrible job in this movie.
He's not doing great either.
Well, there's not much to work with. So at this point, when I watched it, I realized I had to go back and dig. Like, Wes Craven, all the kudos. Like, the dude was a horror master, changed the game multiple times.
Yeah.
With this and with Scream. But for watching this again as an adult, I felt like this was almost his first movie and not his third, where I thought it showed a lot of a very youthful director. It's a messy movie, in my opinion. the script and idea is amazing. It's that sometimes I think when you have a writer trying to write for like your main protagonist is a teenage girl and you're not a teenage girl, there's disconnect in how it's written and how they would react. And it had my teenage daughter laughing at it, where when I watched it as a kid, I was scared. Like, you know, the thought of someone coming in your dreams and murdering you in your dreams, like you can't control that. Like, what are you going to do? So it's interesting. Just, you know, now obviously being 35 years old, God, it's almost 40 years old. That's insane.
The movie's 35. You're not 35, right?
Yes, correct.
Just to make it clear.
I stopped counting at 35. Fine. Don't call it out.
All right.
We'll celebrate. We'll celebrate. You know, my 40th with a "This Is 40" screening, a 40-year-old virgin or something. You know, along those lines.
Yeah, but you know, it's funny. This movie, even it made so much money. It had a budget of $1 million. That's it. Wow. That's it. And it made $25 million.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So for back in early 80s, it was a hit.
Totally.
It was a monster. See what I did there? I just took your pun. It was a monster hit. So did you see it in the dark? Did you see it?
Yes, 100%. Okay, absolutely. No. I took your advice and I did watch it in the dark in the hopes of invoking, you know, some of those feelings. It's a horror slasher flick, and if you watch it late at night, it's right before bed, so you know maybe some of that sneaks in, and you wake up and laugh at yourself for being scared of, you know, a fictional character.
Okay, that's good. Well, I have a funny story. I saw this movie twice in the last 3-4 days. I had the privilege of watching this movie in the theater with my wife, and we went to a late showing, and so we watched it in the theater, you know, on a big screen. The sound was blasting, and when it ended, we kind of looked at each other and thought, "Oof, wow!" Right? I mean, there were some moments where there had jump scares, but the audience never really reacted. Granted, there was probably like 30 people with social distancing in there, but it just didn't do anything for us. So the following night, I rented it on Amazon because I had to take notes because I didn't take notes in the theater. I went to full effect. And this time around, it was a little bit more because it was more intimate. It was a little bit creepier, still not very good. But it just, it doesn't hold up.
That's the thing I keep going back to, is that the concept of Freddy Kreuger is phenomenal. Like at the time, there just wasn't. Like there was always the typical slasher. You know, Jason came out in the 80s. It, you know, was before Jason, it was his mom. But you know, like nobody, the killer didn't talk. He had no personality. It was just this mindless thing. Michael Myers, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all the predecessors. There was no personality to that serial killer, that slasher. So this kind of changed that. And again, great concept. You know, what do? You can't fall asleep. You know, this person's going to get you in your dreams. But the script is just so filled with plot holes that it's tough to watch. Like you get taken out of certain parts because you're like, one, that's a really bad like acted scene. Two, like that didn't make any, like what? Like just the transition of the, you know, the alcoholic mother and the bars on the windows and
the mom was weird, wasn't she? Like just her facial expressions was creepy. I thought. She was downright creepy.
And that's the thing is like, okay, so in a sense, I feel like you can look. She's trying to convey that she's traumatized, and she's probably traumatized because they murdered this person, and she's kept this secret buried. It just didn't convey it very well because it comes across as this very stone-faced, you know, mother who. It took me a while to even realize that the parents were separated. I was like, why is the dad never home? Like, I didn't.
Were they separated? I didn't
so.
Catch that.
I didn't either, and I put that down, but I wasn't sure if I just missed something because I was taking notes. But it didn't seem like they were together. Yeah, it's one of those things that, with a little bit of TLC, like I feel like it just could have been a really good horror film. And sometimes I think we're, unnecessarily harsh on like an older film, right? So it's like, it's 84. Obviously the effects aren't great, but actually I thought the effects were pretty good for
I like the
1984.
effects.
I was
really
impressed.
did.
Like
Yeah.
the scene, with her bedroom and, the inverted or the slanted,
Yes.
and just the
Yeah.
coming through, like great visual, like the bathtub, great visual, iconic stuff. I feel like the focus was so much on that. It's like you're this writer and director and you're like, I can see what I want to do, but you forget some of the other details. Like I also do need to craft a story that makes sense. I don't want to give way to like just giving a free pass to older films because they're from the 80s. Like shortly after this, just because I had time to kill, I put on Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's on Netflix. And I realized that this movie was made in 1981, 3 years before this, and realized how good the filmmaking is. Now, sure, Steven Spielberg, Wes Craven, like
it's
they're different.
Spielberg, man. Come on.
But the movie doesn't feel bad or dated or like it's being directed by somebody who doesn't know how people communicate with each other. And this one really feels like a young filmmaker that just struck gold with a great concept of a character with Freddy.
Well, it was. I mean, this was his big hit, right? I think he did something else. I forget what he did before this.
The Last House on the Left.
Yeah, which I have no idea what that is.
The Hills Have Eyes.
The Hills Have Eyes, yeah. But this was it. This was his breakout hit.
Sure.
And people ate it up in 84, 83, or whatever it was. One of the things I noticed this time around, I don't know. It's called Nightmare on Elm Street, but did they ever show the street sign Elm?
Nope, I don't think so.
Are you sure? Because
I don't remember.
And I saw it twice, right? And I don't remember seeing it. So they call it Nightmare on Elm Street, but I never saw the street sign Elm. So maybe they did. I missed it. I don't know. And another thing I noticed was, or I took notice of, was the little girls playing jump rope.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yep.
And I remember that as a kid, as a teenager, watching that. Like, oh, the girls are singing his, Freddy's Coming After You song.
Right.
And then finally it hit me. I'm thinking, I think I know who those girls are supposed to be. Maybe, and I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just thinking outside the box here because I saw it twice. Because I could do that. When you watch this movie twice, you could do that. I thought maybe those are some of the kids that he murdered, because this dude was a child murderer, right? I mean, this dude was awful. He was evil. He was a child murderer. So, and then they were like in their white Sunday dresses, skipping jump rope, and I thought
dated maybe, yeah, like they're from the past. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
kind of like
I could get with that. I never really thought about that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you should have watched it twice, and you would have thought about it.
I'm never watching this again.
Yeah,
give me all the sequels except 2. I will watch any of them over this one.
And then I don't know if you noticed, but in the classroom, there is the teacher, and I wrote down her name because I go, she looks really familiar.
I saw her.
Who the hell is she? And so I had to look her up, and her name is Lynn Shay, something like that.
Yep.
And she's been in a lot of movies, but to me, she was the older neighbor in Something About Mary.
100%.
That's her. And I thought, wow, okay, so she got her start, or probably didn't get her start here, but I was like, oh, she looks really familiar.
And this explains why Rinaldo and I are, such good friends, because I made the same notation and I quickly went online and I quickly was like, ooh, I pulled the, Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV. That, that's her. And then I realized how much makeup they must have put on in Something About Mary, because she was only 11 years like older at that point, and they made her look super old. Like she looked super young, and so clearly she was wearing obviously that bodysuit that showed all the suntan. But we'll leave it at that. But yes, I did notice her. The dad, love that actor, John Saxon. He's one of the few bright spots again too. Just I wish they would have given him more to work with. That's the thing, is I just wish they would have given more. Like you talk about the little girls, being this scary thing. Give me more story about what happened to Freddy. Like the story gets the story gets explained by the mom in a basement who somehow has the glove still. And fun fact, she's smoking a cigarette while she's touching a gas can. I mean, she's like showing the daughter, like we put gas everywhere as she's like chain smoking by a furnace. I was like,
he's dead, honey, because
but
mommy killed him.
There wasn't enough of like build up to Freddy being this very like bad person, this very dark person. I
And
needed
he's
more of that.
supposed to be. He's
Right.
supposed to be a
And you
really
get that
awful person.
in the sequels. That's the thing, is like a lot of writers after the fact took Craven's idea and then really fleshed it out. And you get a lot of stories about how he was even conceived and how, you know, the murders he actually was involved in and how bad it, you know, he of a person he was. We just don't get that in this one. It's very short and concise and very much about how is, you know, little Nancy gonna, you know, not fall asleep and not lose all of her friends.
But let me ask you a question. So you saw this as a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, did it scare you?
Yes, but that I think had to do with my age. Like my son wouldn't watch it and he's 12. I probably saw this movie when I was 8,
Okay.
9, maybe.
Yeah.
And so, you know, at that time, very much, you know, scary. Like you're still don't love sleeping in the dark with the door shut, you know, a strange sound is going to startle you. And so, you know, things like watching the original Child's Play, like I didn't want anything to do with a doll after that. I didn't want any, I was scared to, you know, walk by a mirror after seeing Candyman. But I saw these films when I was such a young child that I think psychologically you're not able to really like conceptualize it. This is not real. And like, this is just make believe. And it's hard as a kid.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I saw it when I was about 9, maybe 10 or something like that, and it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to bed. I didn't want to go to sleep because Freddy was going to get me, right? And you just kind of your imagination takes over. However, I got to go back in 1984?
84.
People loved it.
Sure.
Older people loved it. Teenagers loved it because, like you said, it's something probably that I'd never seen. They gave this monster personality. So maybe they didn't think he was super scary, but they probably thought, "Oh, this is so cool." I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not even just back then. I looked the rating up on IMDb, and it's got like a 7.5, and people like hold this in like this very high regard. Which, to your point, when we were kind of talking about it, is that this is such an iconic character. That's why, like, because it launched enormous amounts of profitable, you know, IP. They made comics. They did a TV show. They did multiple sequels. We were, you know, Freddy Kreuger for Halloween. Think about how much, you know, they made off of merchandise. It was on shirts. It was iconic. It is one of the, as Universal did with the monsters, Dracula, Frankenstein, all these, you know, this is what we grew up with. The 80s monster, you know, horror slasher film guys, Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, like Leatherface, all those, they were just, they're iconic. And regardless of how silly some of the plots are and how bad some of the acting is, you can't take away from the fact that Wes Craven created, you know, such an iconic character that will forever live on. You know, it's only a matter of time before they try to reboot or try to use it in some way. It's just too profitable of a character to just leave sitting. Someone will come along and rewrite something.
Well, they did remake it, right? They remade it in 2010. Was it 2010 or 2011? I forget. But they remade it. And speaking about reboots, I'm kind of now really understanding why reboots are made, aside from, you know, making more money, because some of these things don't hold up as well as they did in back in the day, right? But if you reboot it to kind of, you know, blend in with the world now, the acting, the trends, the way people speak, you know, just pop culture, it could work.
Sure.
So, and I haven't seen the reboot. I would love to watch it. I haven't seen it. But I think that's why, and I was never a fan of reboots. Never really been a fan of reboots. There's a couple out there that I like, but with horror films, I kind of get it. You know, I kind of understand it why they got to reboot them, just because things like this don't really hold up nowadays. But if you kind of catered it to what the world is now, maybe it could work. So,
and it actually did. I never saw it either. I actually today watched a bunch of clips and kind of looked it up because I was curious how, you know, what do people think of it? And for that exact reason, you know, you're right. If you remake it now and at least just take out some of the dated 80s feel of it, it's still a great concept. And so why not try to do it for a more modern feel and get a whole new grip of fans where you can launch, you know, more sequels. But It got lambasted. I mean, people hated it. I mean,
Really?
just crushed it. It had a huge opening weekend. And then the second weekend, because of word of mouth, it had been one of the biggest drops that had ever happened. I don't really know why, because the clips I watched really, like, they try to pay homage to the classic while at the same time, again, trying to make it a little more modern, at least in the sense that, like, the acting's a little bit better and the CGI is a little bit better. You know, they changed people had such a big problem with the changing of the face of Freddy Kreuger. Like, he looked
Did they change
different.
it?
Well, not much. It just, you know, look, it looks different because it's a different actor. Freddy Kreuger is no longer played by Robert Englund, who absolutely hands down is just amazing as Freddy Kreuger. I don't care.
Good.
Like, I don't care how bad the movie is. He is good and was always good in all the Freddy movies. He chewed the scenery and I loved it. I loved it as a kid. I still love it now. Let me watch all the Freddy clips because they make me laugh and they're silly. Again, they're not so scary anymore, but love Robert Englund.
Did you happen to catch who the sleep disorder doctor was?
I didn't. No. I mean, I remember the scene. I just don't remember who that guy was.
That dude was Roger Rabbit.
No way.
He was Roger Rabbit. He does the voice for
Really?
Roger Rabbit. His name is like Charles Fleischer or something like that. That's Roger Rabbit.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. That scene was funny.
She's all the mom was all smoking in the clinic with the doctor alongside of the doctor.
Oh, that poor mom, overtanned and
She was overtanned.
She was. Yeah. It looked odd.
She was. I can't get over how creepy she was. But did you take notice of the bridge scene where Johnny Depp and Nancy? I could call him Johnny Depp. What's his name? Glenn. When they're on the bridge scene, I don't remember any of that. I don't remember any of that, but they're on the scene, and he actually explains how to defeat Freddy Kreuger, which is mind blowing because I don't remember that part at all. But then as a kid, you're probably not paying attention to that kind of stuff. And he says basically he was reading a book about dreams or something about these women who are dreaming and how to defeat nightmares. And he goes, basically, you just turn your back on them and you take their power away. And then that's where Nancy gets into her like Home Alone mode and starts reading these books on booby traps. And she becomes Kevin McAllister, setting up all these booby traps for the bad guy.
My note says, I forgot she totally Home Alone Freddy. That's exactly what I was like. I don't remember this. Like, I don't, it was so funny. And the bridge, I don't either. And I thought that was funny because that bridge is so iconic in LA that I was like, do they mention where Elm Street is? Like, I looked it up and it's like fictional Ohio, you know, Springfield, Ohio or something like that. But they never really mention where Elm Street is. And once I saw that bridge, I was like, oh my God, that's in so many movies. It almost felt like it didn't really matter if Elm Street was in LA, but it was like, this isn't Ohio. And it just, I like that scene, but it's also, they end that scene very awkwardly where like Glenn makes some joke and Nancy's like, oh, you're silly, get out of here. And like, they just like walk away and like, it was just, again, very like, is this how people talk? Like, I don't think this is how they talk.
It is how they talk. Yeah, it is how they talk. 1984, man. We were learning to walk in 1984.
Did you notice that at one point when, you know, Nancy's getting more and more sleep deprived and she looks in the mirror and she's like, oh my God, I look 20.
Yeah, we saw that.
One, like, she was 19 when she filmed this. Two, like, you're only 15 or 16. You're in high school. 16 probably, you know, like, is that what we thought when we were 16? Oh my God, I look 20.
I look 20, yeah. Shut up, Nancy. Get out of here.
God, I wish I looked 20, Nancy. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nancy. Whatever. Go set your booby traps.
Yeah, that is a very interesting way to handle a dream demon, I guess.
Yeah. And I don't know if you heard, but it's just going into the booby trap scene. She's even taunting Freddy. She goes, come on, Freddy, come and get me. Come and get me, Freddy. I thought that was, come on. This dude's like a demon monster. And whatever, Nancy, you go get your guy and I hope it all works out.
Yeah, before that, when she talks about, she's like telling her mom that, you know, she can bring him out into the dream and they're having that talk in the kitchen. She's like, where's the hat? Did it get did dad, run the forensics on her? Like just basically, did you look into what the hat is, that this is Freddy Kreuger's hat? The mom's like, I destroyed it. And then all of a sudden, like in the middle of the conversation, Nancy just reaches in a random drawer and pulls the hat out. I'm like, wait a second. You just knew that the hat was in the drawer behind you? Like, come on.
She's good. She's good. Nancy's got powers.
Nancy runs shit. She does.
She does.
I mean, if you can pull your dream demon out of your dream and booby trap your house and somehow make him disappear,
I don't know. We'll get into the finale. But there was one scene where I think at the beginning when she pulled him out, I guess it's the finale, when she pulled him out and she hits him with a coffee pot that's hot and burning, right? And I'm thinking, this dude is like burnt 200% all over his body, and he's gonna say ouch.
Look,
I mean,
have you ever burned yourself and then run your finger under hot water? It hurts extra. So maybe
I guess I don't know, but the fact that he goes, oh, it's like, come on, Freddy, whatever. Can we kind of rewind this a little bit and talk about Rod Lane, the punk kid with the leather jacket? I
feel like we got to pour one out for Rod.
Yeah, this guy, man, he instantly delivered the worst line for me. Instantly.
Okay.
It was like the second sentence out of his mouth. It was when they were walking and he comes up and he's telling Tina some kind of sexual joke and they like blow him off and he says this, okay? This is what he says. Up yours with a twirling lawnmower.
Hey, up yours with a twirling lawnmower.
You don't need it. You don't need it, Rod. You don't need it. So what does that mean? Up your with the twirling lawnmower, because that's kind of gruesome if you think about it.
I mean, again, I wonder, had Wes had a screenwriter help him, maybe this wouldn't have been so bad. I have like 3 worst line candidates, and Rod got one of them.
Yeah.
Where he is talking to his girlfriend after they make sweet, sweet love.
Was it sweet love? Because it didn't sound like it was sweet love.
He was sweating. And she was happy. She
and
said
Johnny Depp was just kind of annoyed.
Now. No. Wait. Oh, from listening. Yeah, because Nancy is the protagonist. And how does the protagonist live in horror films? Just like Scream says, you got to be the virgin.
Yeah.
He rolls over and tells her, what's her name? Tracy or something like that? Like
Tina.
Tina, thank you. That he's had a Freddy Kreuger dream too. And she's like, you have? And he's like, guys can have nightmares too, you don't have a market on the, you don't have a corner on the market, and then just rolls over and goes to bed. That's a
guys can have nightmares too,
I thought you were going to say he asked her if she loved making love to him and that good stuff. Like in Meet Joe Black. How do you like making love to me?
You're only supposed to ask Brad Pitt that. Nobody else.
Gotcha.
Don't ask anybody else.
Yeah.
But I did note that there's lots of Christians on Elm Street. Everybody's got a crucifix and everybody has them over their bed. And I grew up in a religious household, but I don't remember crucifixes being so prominent in my household.
So I grew up Catholic, and yeah, they were kind of all over. But maybe they're having it because they know, all the parents know what they did. They know that they murdered this man, and so they're kind of like, oh, what are we gonna do? Put a crucifix on the wall, and everything's gonna be all right. So I don't know. That's my only thinking.
Good call.
But as a kid, it freaked me out, seeing the crucifix fall and then, Freddy Kreuger kind of stretching out that wall like you were talking about that scene. That was a cool scene.
Definitely a horror trope type thing, the crucifix was an exorcist, turns upside down. And yeah, I get it. I thought it was very funny that every household had one. And you're like, oh my God, this is a very Anglo-Saxon Christian neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm kind of ready to go to the finale and talk about the moment that she brings him out.
Okay.
Right. She brings him out. We talked about how she booby traps the house, goes home alone on Freddy Kreuger, and she hits him. And Freddy Kreuger's now, I guess, can feel pain because at one point he was cutting off his finger and he was doing all these crazy things. But now you hit him with a coffee pot and he's hurting. You hit him with a sledgehammer and he's hurting. So the finale to me made no sense. Made no sense at all. Not one bit.
Not any part of it.
None of it.
Starting with the fact that, while this is happening, and again, I get that, it's supposed to be Nancy versus Freddy, but you got cops across the street. The house is smoking. She's breaking windows, and her dad is across the street, who's one of the police officers. And at no point in time, you get the goofy line from the deputy who's like, "Oh, maybe I should actually go over and get him now." Yeah, you think like Nancy's breaking windows and screaming about a murderer being inside, and yet nobody's doing anything about it.
Right.
Yeah. And why this is my assumption that the dad was separated, because why would he need to break down his own door? He can't get into his own house. They've got to be separated, right? Like there had to have been something where like the dad wasn't there, because he was never there when she was home. Maybe because he's a cop, but
maybe, or he just didn't want to be around his drunk wife.
Maybe. Could very well be.
I don't know.
I wouldn't want to be around her.
Yeah, she was
got dead eyes.
So she brings him out, and she does all these things, and the house is on fire, just like you said. The house is on fire, and finally the dad and the policeman break down the door, and Freddy's on fire. He's running up the stairs, and he goes into the mom's bedroom. Right, he gets on top of the mom. He's on fire. And the dad comes in and he covers both of them with a sheet to put out the fire.
Yeah.
Then they remove the sheet from the bed, right? They remove the sheet from the bed, and all you see is the mom. Freddy's gone. The mom has turned into a skeleton. She lifts her left hand up as if to say bye and sinks down into the bed, which I don't get. I don't get it. Somebody please enlighten me. I don't get that part. Somebody please tell me how that makes any sense.
It makes as much sense as the dad standing there perplexed. I mean, he didn't understand. The actor literally played it like the audience. He just looked at it like, what are we trying to convey here? Did Freddy die? Is he gone? Did he disappear? Did he take her to hell?
Okay, listen, okay. I'm going to give Nancy a free pass here because the girl has been up for like a week straight without sleep. She's probably delirious and expects anything at this point. The dad, whether he was married or not, I think he was. I don't know. If you see your wife as a skeleton saying bye to you and sits under the bed, you're going to say something. The dude just looks and then walks out of the bedroom like as if nothing happened. So give me something, or somebody enlighten me on that scene, because I didn't get it. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I did not get that scene.
No, and for all the praise, lifted on this movie, I think that a lot of people feel the same way. We're like, what happens at the end? It almost kind of falls apart, where great concept, you pull Freddy out, fine, she's booby trapping the house and he can feel pain now. But nowhere does it make any sense that the dad just kind of accepts that his wife disappeared into a bed and this murderer that was on top of her is gone. And then Nancy somehow is like, you go downstairs. I'm going to hang out here for a second and process this. And dad's like, okay. And just walks out the door. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. And we're not done here. We're not done here, because then the next part happens, which is even weirder, right? It's even weirder because the audience is assuming that everything is not a dream anymore. She brought him out. She opens the door, and it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. Everything's bright. Everything's colorful. Everything's all good, right? The mom goes, oh, you know what? I feel like I'm going to not drink anymore. It's going to be great. And then all her friends roll up in the convertible. You got Glenn, Tina, and Rod, and she gets in it. And then all of a sudden, the top closes. It's Freddy Kreuger's sweater pattern. And then he grabs the mom and pulls her through the door hole or whatever, and her feet are bending because you can obviously tell that it's a dummy.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. So I thought Freddy was dead, or if Freddy has powers, it could only be in a dream. But is this the real world? What happened? You're teasing the sequel, but all the rules that you told us about the movie are kind of been thrown out the window.
Yeah, there's just a disconnect there with like whatever you're trying to convey. I don't know if you're trying to say that was a dream, or that the actual like mom dying was a dream. I don't know. It's silly at the end. It doesn't make any sense. I would have loved to just continue with like the mom. I mean, even if you just continue with the mom dying and Nancy being in shock and the dad being, not caring, I guess, about his separated wife who's an alcoholic.
I don't know. I still don't know why she turned into a skeleton.
Well, clearly when you catch on fire for 2 seconds, you go to hell and you just wait by.
She straight up said bye as a skeleton. She straight up said bye, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all she had to do was mouth it, but she went like this, and that was it. So
mouth it. She's a skeleton. What was she going to say?
Shut up.
Bye, Nancy. I mean, it's more like why, what did Freddy disappear to? Like, if he could have just disappeared, why? I mean, shouldn't he just disappeared? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a really, really effed up ending, and it added to the, like, again, such a good concept. I love so many of the sequels. What's your favorite Nightmare film?
I remember, was it 3, The Dream Warriors?
Oh,
I remember that one. The Dream Warriors was creepy. I remember that one.
It was cool too, though. Like, you had Nancy comes back. She's now a psychiatrist, like helping people with their dreams because of what she went through. Again, great arc. Lawrence Fishburne's an orderly. You got Patricia Arquette, and Nancy teaches all these kids to like harness their dream powers, and they fight Freddy. It's so cool.
Look at you with
absolute favorite one.
Freddy Part 3. Yeah, it's a good one.
My favorite one. Yeah. They made a lot of really good sequels, and the character is really great. Freddy vs. Jason is a fucking blast to watch. It is so much fun. Robert Englund is amazing in it, and playing off of Jason is so fun. But this one, God, it's like trudging through 90 minutes to say, here's your introduction to this character. We'll do better next time.
Yeah, I mean, some of the scenes that were creepy. I mean, the bet scene when Tina dies, when she's in the air. Right? I remember that scene stuck with me. So does the bathtub scene. Those scenes stuck with me, and those are some scenes that I remember. So cool. I think we're ready to rate, man.
Let's rate it, man. Let's do the knife fingers or something, because that's how they described him the first time around. Thanks, Tina.
Okay, let's do the knife finger rating for Freddy Kreuger, 1 to 5. I don't know who went first. I don't even think it matters who goes first.
It doesn't matter who goes first at this point. I'm gonna give you the big whopping 2, and I'm only giving it a 2. I would give it a 1, and it would be a finger not appropriate for this podcast, or video. But I'm going to give it an extra 1 just for the fact that this is an iconic character that was created by a guy who really knows horror and did. I'm basically just giving him credit for being Wes Craven, and this movie's bad, and I can't apologize for it. But a 2 it is,
A 2, okay. I was expecting you to give it like a 1.5. So a 2 is not that bad. Like I said, I watched this twice. And it doesn't hold up. It's it's 1984 movie, so back then it did well. Now it just doesn't stand the test of time. But that's why reboots are done to just kind of make them better for the current world we're in, the acting and the pop culture and all that stuff. So with that being said, I'm going to give this 2.5 finger knives, because this guy is an iconic character, right? I know we gave Spaceballs a 2, right? But they didn't make any merchandise of it because George Lucas was smart and he said no merchandise. No. But this Freddy Kreuger has stood the test of time. It's an iconic character that will live on forever, and because of that, I gave it a half. It's not a good. The movie's not that great, but I would recommend this movie just so you can see the origin of Freddy Kreuger, or how it all started with Freddy Kreuger.
Sure.
You might get scared. The jump scares didn't really work for me in this movie, but it is an iconic character, and I gotta give props to Wes Craven for that, because he created something that's going to live kind of forever in reboots, in people's minds, in people's nightmares. People are, we went for a walk today and there was a Freddy Kreuger dummy out there for Halloween.
Nice.
So people love this character. This will live on forever. Spaceballs is kind of like a cult classic. This is a legendary, iconic monster. And for that, it is a 2.5.
Solid. And it's reasoning that I can't argue with. I definitely agree with you. And like I said, it would be a 1 if not for the fact that this is such an iconic character that it was culturally just, it changed everything.
So, okay. I mean, it's solid. I think those are good ratings. And if people have a problem with them, then let us know. Because
we definitely get flack sometimes for our ratings. So yes, we know this is an iconic character. Yes, these are low ratings, but it's Halloween time. It's time for you to go back and rewatch the film, and it's time for you to tell us, if you truly can come at me and tell me that this is a 4 out of a 5. You're not getting 4 knife fingers out of me. So
no. So okay, cool. What are we doing next, man?
We don't
know what
have
we're doing.
We don't have a teaser for next week, but stay tuned. We'll mix it up. I feel like I don't know. I know the sky's the limit, but we'll come up with something. It'll be
something
fun.
From the 80s, probably.
No, we got to get newer and we got to get fun.
Sounds good, man.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Once again, I've been your host, Gagne, joined by my counterpart, Rinaldo.
Nice. Yeah.
And this has been our special Halloween episode. So we hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe, like, tune in, tell us what you think. Yell at us for bashing on Freddy Kreuger. And somebody tell us if they watched the actual remake or reboot, whatever they call it, and was it any good?
Yeah. We'd love to hear about it.
We'll check on it.
Yeah. Happy, safe Halloween, everybody. Stay safe.
Thanks, everyone.
Later. Bye.
Bye.